From Ticker News, right now, the global view. This is Ticker News Insight.
Hello and welcome back to Ticker News Insight, the show where we gather insights and ideas from people working in and on businesses from all around the world. I'm your host, Mike Loder, and to our latest story for the moment. And as the Optus data breach leaves millions of Australians concerned about their identity being stolen, one of Australia's leading digital experts and founder of the Hype Society can discuss what this means for hundreds of thousands of Australian businesses that rely on data as a key source of customer engagement. Joining me now is Ryan Jenkins from the Hype Society. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Good to be here.
No worries at all. Now, this was quite alarming. We obviously saw the Optus data breach, massive data breach, if you will. It's something that shocked the nation. What impact will it have on people when they're engaging online day to day? What are you seeing? Are people out there changing their passwords, desperately trying to get new licenses? Is it a mad scramble?
Well, I think for the tens of thousands that were, directly impacted, because it wasn't necessarily the millions of all of Optus's customers, they're madly scrambling and, they're at risk of having their identity stolen. It's a really, huge risk for consumers out there, especially when businesses like Optus or a finance provider's got more than 100 points of ID. That's a fraudster's dream to be able to go and apply for, credit cards or, different identities to be able to milk the opportunity until, unsuspecting customers are then aware of it.
And by then it's usually too late, as we sort of understand. But why is this data so important to businesses in the first place? I feel like they often ask for perhaps more than they need at times. And I guess, can you highlight a little bit of about what they're using our personal data for, Ryan?
Sure. Yeah, so businesses really value data. In fact, it's probably the most important asset to businesses, because the more they understand about their consumers, the more they can personalize their messaging and their marketing and their communication to their target customers, the more effective, essentially, the conversion rate on their investment will be. If you can imagine an e-commerce provider understanding, the colors that you like, the size you are, the styles that you wear, your recent purchase history, they can be much more targeted in their approach to, if they're putting relevant content in front of you as their consumer. If they don't have that, accuracy and that insight about you as a customer, your profile is, essentially not as dense and rich for them to be able to target their messages to you to increase revenue and conversion rate and engagement at the same time.
The algorithm, Ryan, you got to love it. But what are the lessons for businesses here? And I guess, how are they going to deal with these data reticent customers who are sort of becoming very closed off now? I imagine Optus has lost a lot of customers.
They actually haven't lost too many customers, and consumers are quite forgiving, and they have reasonably short-term memories. They probably want to know what Optus is doing to remedy that situation. They're probably going to be wary of businesses that require that really important information about you: your license, your Medicare number, any bank account or credit card information. That's where I think the risk is. Just knowing what size I am or what colors I like and signing up to an email database is probably not taking too much of a hit at this point. But also, I think Optus didn't handle that situation very well at all, which puts them at greater risk of losing brand equity and confidence in their customers moving forward.
Absolutely, and it is very easy to sort of target the big players, but also I think there is a moment here to reflect on what the consumers can do to perhaps make things a bit better for themselves. So are there steps that we can take to limit the data we're providing, I guess, to prevent such attacks as we've seen, or at least secure ourselves a little bit better?
Definitely. So if an organization requires the 100 points of ID or that critical information about you that can be used against you, it's understanding how they're using it, how long they're storing it for, where they're storing it, what their data management and security policy is, which they should have available on their website. They should be able to provide you with the policy and some sort of confidence around how they're using that. And I think a lot of the big organizations now are on notice, and I think they would be ensuring that in the background they are working very, very hard to ensure that your data is protected, because they don't want, I'm sure big brands don't want this to happen to them. And in Optus's case, it was human error, which is probably a good thing. It wasn't the system, it was a person. So, we can ensure that systems and processes are put in place to ensure that your data is protected much more strongly than probably what Optus had in place.
Absolutely, and well said by you, Ryan. I want to thank you so much for joining me on the program, highlighting a little bit more about the space, and hopefully I get to touch base with you again down the track, because as we know, these attacks are likely to reoccur, and it's always good to check in and remind people how they can defend themselves a little bit better. So I appreciate you for that.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
And of course, thank you all of you to tuning in. I've been your host, Mike Lotter, and head to tickernews.co for more breaking stories from around the world. Be well.